Hey, folks, it's Mark Arum. I hope you're enjoying the Mark Arum Show podcast. A reminder, you can hear this very radio show live Monday through Friday. We're live 6 to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday on 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk. Hey, welcome to the show and a good Tuesday afternoon to you. Mark Arum in for the Conservative Viking. I'm with you for 3 full hours tonight, and then we morph. We transition. We shift gears to cover the Democratic presidential debate. Chris Chandler will anchor our coverage starting at 7 p.m. with Bill Crane. So we're going to have some fun for the next 3 hours. Lil Sanjay will join us with Would You Rather. The big story today in my world and in Smiling Mark McKay's world is the 50th birthday of I-285. 50 years ago today, Low T Chuck, I-285 opened the circle around the city. What was originally a bypass around downtown Atlanta and now has become just a fixture in Atlanta traffic. Opened today, so I'm saying it's 50th birthday. I guess if Eric was on, he would have said as soon as the first shovel went in the ground, that was when it started, right?
Yeah.
Was that too meta? Was that too deep? Was that too deep, Low T? The first shovel, as soon as the shovel gets in the ground.
I know what you did there.
That's when 285 became a thing. The first shovel in the ground.
I know what you did there.
No. Anyway, it's 50 years old today. Russell McMurry, the commissioner of the DOT, will join us in the 6 o'clock hour to talk about the history of 285 and what's coming up on 285, Smile and Mark, because we got some big stuff there. But I wanted to spend this first hour because I'm sure if you're listening right now, especially if you're on 285, you probably despise 285. There's no one that is ever like, oh, I can't wait to get on 285, right?
I mean, said it this morning. We're celebrating, but a lot of people curse that.
Yeah, but it serves a major function, not the function it was originally intended to. It was originally intended to just keep people out of downtown Atlanta, and I guess it kind of still does that.
It's still listed as that.
Yes.
And when you come up to the interchange, it's Atlanta's bypass.
Atlanta's bypass. But it's so much more now, and I don't like driving on it. Luckily, I'm not in AM drive or PM drive traffic, so when I do have to take it, it's usually on the weekends or off hours, and I don't get stuck in it. I never feel comfortable driving on 285. It's just, it's a crapshoot sometimes.
The multi-lane and get some speed up. It could be troublesome.
Exactly. So what I wanted to do today was talk about 285 memories in this first hour, good or bad. Experiences, crazy experiences you might have had. Just a couple months ago, Deb Green, we had that cash truck on 285.
Yes. Oh, yeah, on the top end.
That was, that was notable. We've had a plane crash on 285. Mark McKay posted a video of cows loose on 285 today from not that long ago. So good and bad experiences of 285. I'd love to hear from you. 404-872-0750, 1-800-WSB Talk. The queen of Atlanta television out in the newsroom right now, Monica Pearson. Mm-hmm. Nee Kaufman, formerly Anna Kaufman of Channel 2. And I asked her if she wanted to, if she had any 285 stories she wanted to share on the air. She's like, no. And she's like, but I tell you what I did when she first moved to Atlanta. So 285 opened in 1969. It was 2 lanes in each way, Chuck. So think about that. It was like Peachtree Street around the city. It's grown to 5 lanes in most areas now. So when Monica moved to Atlanta, I guess it was in the 70s, Mark, in order to learn the area, this is pretty amazing. This is why she's a legend. Every day or every weekend, whatever it was, she would drive 285 and get off a new exit. Like, all right, I'm going to get off at Covington Highway. And she would drive it out as far as she could to learn the areas, the surface streets, the neighborhoods, get back on 285, go up, get off at Memorial Drive, take the Memorial Drive. And that's how she learned Atlanta. It was a 285 tutorial, similar to what Captain Herb had me do when I first started here, because I was A, new to Atlanta, B, never reported on traffic, and C, was a damn Yankee. All right, so I had 3 strikes against me in Captain Herb's mind, and he made me drive all the interstates.
Committed to their crafts.
Yeah, he's like
Monica and Herb.
This weekend I want you to drive every interstate, and I'm going to quiz you on Monday. I was like...
And Herb also said, you don't call it the top end. You call it the north side perimeter. Because if you're having to talk about the bottom end, it would be Clayton County. You just didn't want to do it.
You don't want to bottom end. That's insulting.
North side perimeter, south side perimeter.
So Smilin and I will always refer to it as the north side or south side,
yes, sir.
East or west side. So I'm glad you're here, Smilin. Smilin's not usually here at Longoria. He came in special to talk about 285. That's the affection that you have. I want you to think about some 285 stories that you've seen in the chopper. I don't fly in the chopper anymore. And I miss it on occasion because it was fun. I couldn't do it every day. What you and Doug do. It's an exhausting experience. It's exhilarating,
enjoyable,
but exhausting. Yeah. One time I was filling it for Captain Herb, Deb, and I'll never forget. It was 285 at Cascade Road, Smiling, which is the southwest perimeter, and we're following a police chase. And I was filling in for Captain Herb, and I don't know. Maybe it was Jason Durden was in the back working the camera, and it was a truck or an SUV was getting chased by the police, and it got into a crash, and the driver of the SUV didn't have his seatbelt on, and he flew out the driver's side window. He was going south on 285, flew out of the window onto the northbound side of 285, and was struck by a truck. And I had been doing traffic for like 8 days. I was like, oh, my God, what did I just see? It was horrible.
If you've been doing it as long as we have, it happened at the 400 285 interchange as well. They were chasing somebody 400 south, hit that on-ramp to go 285 west. The SUV flipped and ejected into the eastbound lanes.
All right. Well, we'll have more pleasant stories coming up. I didn't mean to bring us down. Doug Turnbull now mans the Skycopter every afternoon drive, traffic every 6 minutes. Doug, before you give us the traffic update, any 285 stories stand out to you?
I think the number one that Smilin and I were both on was, unfortunately, that plane crash that happened there 4 years ago at 285 at Peachtree Industrial, and that pilot had taken evasive maneuvers there. He ran the plane right into the wall when he realized he wasn't going to make it. If he tried to clear the wall, he would have landed in oncoming traffic. So that was a bad one.
He mentioned, Smilin, that plane crash. I was not working. That was an afternoon drive kind of thing. What happened there?
It was an hour after I had finished the morning drive.
Yeah.
I was on the Pill Hill at some medical facility. Got out, heard Sabrina Cupid break in.
Yeah.
And I immediately said, I can get there. And literally, I got to the intersection of Peachtree Industrial Boulevard and 285 East, worked my way into what ended up being the media zone, and I was within arm's length of the still smoldering plane that had crashed.
I remember 1998, there was a plane crash on 400. This isn't 285 related. And back then we had the Sky plane as well, Deb Green. So we had the chopper and the WSB Sky plane. And a former coworker of ours was flying the Sky plane. And I remember I was driving. I was working for the Marietta Daily Journal. I was covering a football game, driving to a football game in East Cobb, I don't know, and maybe Walton High School. And I'm listening to WSB Radio's traffic reports. And I'm working morning drive on traffic, so I'm tuned in. And it was after 7, so it was just the Sky plane that was up, Smiling. And a plane crashed on 400. I'm not going to say your name, but this was the extent of this traffic reporter's report on the crash of the plane. She goes, "Oh my Lord! Oh my Lord! Oh my Lord!" Like just kept. Well, I was like, "What's going on?" A plane had crashed on Georgia 400. So there you go. 404-872-0750 1-800-WSB Talk. Mark Arum and Smiling Mark McKay in studio for Eric Erickson. Kirk joins us on the program. Hello, Kirk.
Hey. I tell you, the funniest story was when watching the Braves game, and Pascual Perez did not show up to pitch. And they found out that he got lost on 285 and just rode around 285 like 2 times before he finally figured out how to get
there. That is my funniest 285 story. So Pascual Perez from the Dominican Republic, I believe, and was trying to get to Fulton County Stadium, which we, of course, is downtown off the connector, and he kept driving around 285 looking for the exit to the stadium and missed the game. Missed his start. Yeah, that's what. Rest in peace, by the way. Pascual left us not too. That's my favorite 285 story. But I get it. It's like what was that scene in European Vacation where Clark Griswold, Big Ben, Parliament. Like, so I've been stuck on 285 where I couldn't get off to the exit because some of those exits are tough. Like 285 West in Cobb County, trying to get to the 75 exit. And it's like, SunTrust Park, Smyrna. All right, it's like I gotta loop around. SunTrust Park, Smyrna. I feel like Clark Griswold sometimes. Buzz joins us on the program. What's cooking, Buzz?
Hey there. When we were in high school, they were building 285, and one of the first slabs was between Smyrna and Sandy Springs. So right where Cobb Parkway, us fellas with our cars would get on that slab and see how fast we could go. And I was in my little Chevy 2 Nova, my parents, and I got it up to 115.
Oh, my goodness.
And I started shaking, but I had some friends that had one of those Plymouths with that wing on the back there, and it was just like a drag race to go, and there was just a slab of cement. We just went as fast as we could go.
That's the ignorance of use, I guess, right? Like
It was.
Yeah, I did that, and so we had the super speeder story on Georgia 400. That one guy, a kid, I guess, was drunk. He was going 130. Yeah. There's an interesting video. I believe Deborah Green pulled it for me, where Georgia Tech engineering students went out and basically got in a line with like 6 cars.
And they all did the speed limit?
And they all did the speed limit. And just the traffic stacked up behind them. It was a crazy experiment of how traffic works and how going the speed limit, while everyone was backed up, it didn't stop. Like everyone was going 55 miles an hour.
Love the DOT, but the experiments with the digital speed limits when you're sitting in stop traffic.
Yeah, exactly.
You can go 50 miles an hour when you're going 20.
Good luck, exactly. Buck joins us on the Mark Arum Show. What's up, Buck?
Hey, can you hear me now?
Perfect, buddy.
Hey, sweet. Back when I was about 5 or 6, my dad took me flying kites on Interstate 285 right in front of the old BOP plant, and that's about 1960 to 61-ish. And what had happened was they had, there were no power lines there. He was an electrical engineer, and they had condemned the property that was in front of the BOP plant where they just parked cars.
You know what, Buck, all I heard was he put you in tights and there was a BLT plant. And I don't think that was the story.
Bacon, lettuce, tomato?
Yeah, I would love to go to a BLT plant. But if you can call back, Buck, I thought I could hear you well, but I couldn't. All right, your 285 stories, good and bad. I'm trying to remember, Smiling, back in Snowmageddon, one of the worst traffic stories.
That stands out.
Yeah, but I don't remember 285 being as bad as 75. It was?
Yeah. I can give you a story.
Maybe I've blocked it out.
I got your story after the break.
All right, Smiling with a good tease, a Snowmageddon tease. When we come back, 285 turns 50 years old today. Your best and worst stories of the old Perimeter Highway. 404-872-0750. 1-800-WSB Talk on Twitter and Instagram at Mark Arum. In for Eric Erickson. It's Atlanta's Evening News on 95.5 WSB. 50th birthday of I-285 today. Russell McMurry, Commissioner of the DOT, will join us in the 6 o'clock hour to talk about the history. Mark McKay, live in studio here with Mark Arum, filling in for Eric Erickson. Your 285 tales of woe or of joy. We've had a number of babies born on 285, Mark McKay.
Yeah, we have.
I think if your baby is born on the freeway, it should be a rule. You have to name it the closest exit to you. You know, like this is this is my buddy. This is my baby Shallowford. This is my daughter North Loop. You know that I think that should be the law. If you're born on the freeway, you have to name the kid after the freeway. Bobby joins us on Atlanta's Evening News. What's going on, Bobby?
Hey, how you doing?
Excellent.
So my favorite 285 story was I used to work at a nightclub in the early 90s downtown called Petrus. And cashier hands me the phone. I was the doorman. And someone with a heavy accent had asked for directions to the club. And I said, well, where are you coming from? And they said, Lithuania. And I said, you mean Lithonia? And the person was, yes, Lithonia. And I said, oh, it's real simple. Just get on I-20 west. When you get to 285, go north. And then when you get to the end of 285...
Oh, no.
Take a right. We're the second place down on the left. And 3 hours later, the person called back very angry.
And then he shot you. And that's why the club closed down. What was the name of the club? Tetris?
Petrus.
With a T or P?
P.
Oh, all right.
Petrus, corner of Peachtree and 14th. It's where Opera is now.
Oh, okay. Wait, Opera used to be on Crescent. All right, I'm so far out of it. I appreciate it, Bobby. Smiling knew it.
Snowmageddon story.
Yeah, Snowmageddon.
So the morning after the storm moved through, Captain Herb took a break, and I was up in the Skycopter later that morning.
Yeah.
An incredible sight between Sandy Springs and Smyrna because 285 westbound has a bit of an elevation near the I-75, so everyone was stuck behind that. But the outpouring of the families that came out from the Dunwoody neighborhood, Sandy Springs neighborhood to bring food and supplies to folks who literally were stuck until the snowplows could get in there and do their work with the sand and salt on those ramps that were holding everybody.
So how high do you fly in the chopper?
About 1,000 feet.
So you were too high. What looked like to you, they were bringing out food and they were actually looting the cars that were stranded there. Yeah, those Sandy Springs families were breaking the windows and stealing.
But to see that many people that were stuck and it was the morning after. They had been there all night long, couldn't go anywhere because of the elevation of 285 West near the I-75.
Anywhere there's a hill. Yeah. Anywhere there's a hill. Rhonda's up next on the Mark Arum Show. Hello, Rhonda.
Well, hello, Mark. How are you?
Excellent. What's going on?
Well, I wanted to tell you back probably in the early 80s when I was about 21 years old, I worked for one of the premier outdoor outfitters in Atlanta on Powers Ferry Road. Had to go buy office supplies, jumped in my boss's truck, got on 285, and about the time I got onto 285 headed toward Cumberland, I see his kayak come flying off the top of the truck. I pull over. I'm standing there freaking out. Oh, my gosh, what am I going to do? Meantime, trucks are coming by, hitting the kayak. It's bouncing all over 285. And I actually thought, maybe I'll just walk out there when I see it clear.
Rhonda.
I'm 61 years old today because I decided that wasn't a good idea.
Yeah, never. I mean, it's a kayak. I mean, it's different if it was like, I'm not even going to say what.
It was my boss's. I'm like, I'm going to lose my job.
Would you rather be fired or flattened? That's the question right there. Rhonda, thank you for the story. 285 turns 50 years old today, and it's going to get bigger. We'll discuss that later on in the broadcast. Your tales of woe and joy on the old Perimeter Highway. 404-872-0750, 1-800-WSB Talk. Mark Arum and Mark McKay in for Eric Erickson on Atlanta's Evening News. 69 degrees on Peachtree Street, Longoria. That means a 3 on the Mark Arum Show back sweat.
Will it ever be 0?
Yeah. I think we got to get below, what do you say, Smon? 16 degrees? And there's no chance I'm going to sweat?
16.
I walk the dogs before the show.
I can sweat in 16.
So I sweat a little bit.
It's a cool humidity.
Yeah, but you sweat because you're bulked up in all that Eskimo gear. The stoic
true.
Eskimo. Anyway, Airman for Erickson. I'm with you till 7. And then Chris Chandler back from the Murrow Awards, where Jamie Dupree 2.0 won a Murrow Award. That's fantastic. So he's going to do our pre-debate coverage starting at 7. We're going to have some fun tonight. Until then, talking about 285's 50th birthday, Mark McKay, smiling Mark McKay, excuse me, joins us in studio, taking your best and worst remembrances of the Perimeter Highway. 404-872-0750, 1-800-WSB Talk. We mentioned the cows. We mentioned the cash truck. We mentioned the plane down. We mentioned Snowmageddon. What are we forgetting on 285? Because for Smiling and myself, it's a blur. Like Atlanta traffic.
Every day is something different.
Yeah, every day is something different. So what do you remember, good or bad, about I-285 as it celebrates its 50th birthday? Speaking of 50th birthday, Deb found a story about midlife crises.
Yeah.
Crises. We're going to talk about that later on.
Okay.
They're a myth,
Being
Smiling.
on 285 in the morning and the afternoon will give you a midlife crisis.
Yeah, exactly. But it's
not there.
an interesting story. Speaking of turning mid-50s or whatever. George joins us on the Mark Arum Show. Hello, George.
Hello.
What's going on, buddy?
I'm going to take you back to '63 when the Perimeter Highway was just a line on a plan.
Just on a map.
I was doing the major, and I was doing the major thoroughfare plan for Atlanta. And after I made the improvements that I thought were necessary, we had to go up to Athens to the University of Georgia to run the program to see how traffic loaded on it. The entire west side of the Perimeter Highway was red, telling us that the traffic was overloaded then, but the State Highway Department built it that way. And
so, what was your job back then? What was your title? What were you doing?
I was a planner for the city of Atlanta.
Oh, so the city of Atlanta was in on the mix here. And
well, I was doing the major thoroughfare plan for Atlanta, and when they loaded it up in Athens, the perimeter was on it too.
Interesting.
And so I could see that it was all red on the west side.
And that's not good.
And I knew they were going to have problems if they built it that way, and they did build it that way. And that was back in the days of the State Highway Department.
Well, luckily now it's red all the time, everywhere. It's not just the west side that's red. So if you have a problem with the 285, don't blame George, because he said, listen, it's red on the west side. Well, George, you were part of a historic thing in Metro Atlanta.
George likes his chicken spicy.
George, do you like your chicken
I like
spicy?
to think so.
Do you like spicy
yeah.
chicken? Oh, yeah, George. Excellent, buddy. I appreciate the call.
Mark, you're really good at putting archive photos out in your social media when it comes to Atlanta, and you've done the Downtown Connector. Think if the Downtown Connector and the state capitol is the center of Atlanta back in the day, Lenox Mall was in the country.
Yeah.
285 was even further out than that.
Exactly right.
And it was 2 lanes around for a long time, and that wasn't going to last.
I wish I was around when 285 was 2 lanes, just to see what it was like. 2 lanes in each direction. It wasn't 1 lane in each direction, but that would have been an interesting circle around the city. Taylor joins us on the Mark Arum Show. Hello, Taylor.
Hey, guys. How are you?
What's going on, T-Bone?
Oh, not much. I'm driving down 316. Whee!
Excellent.
So I actually have a good story about 285. Probably about 13 years ago, my husband and I were just dating, and we had gone to go see Nine Inch Nails and Bauhaus play. Well, 99X still existed at that time. So instead of going straight back home when we lived in Norcross, we just took the extra time and went around the entire perimeter to listen to a special airing of Nine Inch Nails and Bauhaus doing a little set for them, and it was really cool.
That's a great memory. I don't often equate Nine Inch Nails with 285, but I think Ludacris filmed one of his videos on 285. Stank on you?
I didn't.
What?
You have us all.
No, I'm not saying that's not Ludacris did Stank on you, but was it Stank on you? They filmed part of that on 285?
Possibly.
You're my musical expert. By the way, look at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame notifications today. I can't. Oh, Depeche Mode. I thought you were just flashing me your.
Yes.
She's like, hey, look at that. She's wearing a Depeche Mode shirt. They better get it. But there's so many worthy
They've
candidates.
already been snubbed.
You don't think they're getting in? All right. 404-872-0750. Smiling's blushing after that exhibit by Deb Green. Chris is on the Mark Arum Show. Hello, Chris.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
What's up, buddy?
Not much, man. Bravo on your intro and outro music. I love the hip-hop.
Thank you, sir.
So I've got a two-part. My least favorite part is that I have to use 285.
Mm-hmm.
And my second least favorite part was about 10 years ago, I was driving a work van with 3 12-foot ladders, strapped to the top. One was facing the wrong direction, so the aerodynamics, snapped the zip ties that my boss told me to put down.
Oh, no.
And as I'm driving at 60 miles an hour with a bunch of people behind me, the thing, I hear a pop. I look in my rearview mirror, and I see my 12-foot ladder skid on the highway.
I got a question to ask. I'll smile in a second, but let's check in with Doug Turnbull in the Skycopter. To me, in morning drive, I think we're getting less reports of ladders in the road than we did 15 years ago. Do you guys agree or disagree?
I agree. What do you think, Doug?
It seems like it, yeah. There's other garbage that seems to fall out of cars these days.
Celebrating 285's 50th birthday with Patrick on the Mark Arum Show. Patrick, how are you, sir?
Hey, I'm very well. So there was two quick things. One, someone's not from around here if they call it the
285. I hate that when like
it's an LA thing, isn't it?
Well,
the 405,
the 400.
Yeah.
Like when big ad agencies out of New York or LA do an ad for a product, like if you're driving on the 400, right. Stop off it. Right. It's like, oh, know your market.
We don't say that down here.
No.
Right. Yeah. So let's see. I grew up going on 285. I remember all the things that you guys were talking about, the bad crashes that, over the years, the spectacular ones. And, and I remember the Sunday after Captain Herb passed, I think it was Kim McCarthy and Bortz doing a remembrance show. And, Kim McCarthy. Anyway, I just want to say that if you live in Atlanta, your heart is always with Captain Herb.
Yeah.
And that's, to me, when I think about 285, when I think about, Atlanta in general, traffic, that's who I think of.
Absolutely.
And I wanted to say that.
Well, Captain Herb, I appreciate it, Patrick. Captain Herb, so obviously a big NASCAR fan, and he just looked at 285 like a racetrack. Like that's why he loved high-speed chases. He loved them because he felt like he was calling a NASCAR race. All right, he's taking the turn on, he lived for those things. That was.
And you think new traffic reporters have trouble at the inner and the outer. The motorists probably do too. Which direction? Because we're taking calls for our traffic. Which way you heading? And it can be confusing where east turns into north and south and such. So
you got to double identify Longoria. 285 eastbound, the outer loop at Flat Shoals Road is where Low T lost his virginity. So when you do that, you've got to double identify what is going on when you tell that story. Gene is up next on the Mark Arum Show. Hello, Gene.
Hey, Mark.
Hi,
is it
Gene.
okay if I call you buddy?
Absolutely. Hey, buddy.
Man, it's great to talk to you. Hey, I wanted to give you just a little history about around where Powers Ferry, the old one-lane steel truss bridge crossed. And my Uncle Gene was a judge, and in Atlanta. He was the judge of court of ordinary, and he used to always say, I'm the year plus 3. He was born in 1897. And
wow.
He owned the land. He and Mr. Sibley, he was a judge in Marietta, and they owned the land from Powers Ferry to Johnson Ferry, and at the time they were both one-lane bridges. Now, Powers Ferry, you could only go one at a time, but Johnson Ferry, you could go 2 at a time. It was a little wider. But he owned on the Cobb side all the way.
Let me jump in real quick. Please tell me he got rich selling that land. Please tell me you don't even have to work anymore. You got this big
trust.
But
he donated it all to Berry College.
Oh, that's sweet, but sad for you. Gene, I appreciate the call. 404-872-0750, 1-800-WSB Talk. So Smile and Mark McKay owns about 800 acres in Buckhead still.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Don't donate that to Berry College, Smile.
Okay,
you donate that to me.
Sure will.
The king of Buckhead, Smile and Mark McKay.
Yeah.
Coming back, 285, remembrances continue. 404-872-0750, 1-800-WSB Talk. You can find me on Twitter at Mark Arum and Instagram at Mark Arum. Smiling, where are you at on social media?
All over the place.
Give us your handle, buddy.
McKay WSB on Twitter. Let's just
there
go
you
with
go.
that
Just
one right there.
search Smiling Mark McKay.
There you go.
Birthday party for 285. The Grand Old Perimeter turns 50 years old today. Your thoughts? Good stories, bad stories on I-285 at 404-872-0750. Joyce joins Mark Arum and Mark McKay on the Evening News. How are you, Joyce?
Hey, Mark, I'm good. Thank you.
What's on your mind?
Well, I just wanted to tell you, when I was 15 years old and just learning to drive, they were building 285 around Ashford Dunwoody on the the north side.
There you go.
And, and so my dad, it went about 1.5 miles either way from Ashford Dunwoody. So my dad used to take me out there and teach me how to get on, accelerate, all that kind of thing, because nobody was really on there because it didn't go anywhere.
I would be scared to death to be a student driver on I-285 in this day and age. How about it, guys? Oh, my goodness.
When I was learning to drive in Connecticut, they took me on I-84, which to me was the biggest freeway in the history of the world. And it's like 3 lanes. And I remember freaking out. So I always think about that, like student drivers in Atlanta going on 75 in Cobb where it's 9 lanes. I would be petrified in fear if I was learning to drive then.
Intimidated.
It's hard to believe it's the same road that it was then.
Indeed. 285. Used to be cow pastures, Mark McKay.
Atlanta's to take all the truck traffic around, and now the truck traffic dictates that. And how many times do you and I wake up in the morning to an overturned tractor trailer, and as we say, as 285 goes, so many commutes.
Yeah. How 285 is, whatever traffic is on 285, Longoria, affects all the interstates. I'm dropping traffic knowledge on you, Longoria.
Okay,
we're going to have you do weekend overnights doing traffic. Jim's up next on the Mark Arum Show. Hello, Jim.
Hey, good evening. How are you?
Excellent. What's cooking, buddy?
One personal experience and then 2 quick historical points. I can do it all in less than 3 minutes.
My man. Well, you got 1.5 minutes. How about that?
All right. This would have been the winter of '68, so thank goodness the 285 was not completed, as my young lady friend and I at the time were leaving South DeKalb County to go to Sandy Springs for a basketball game. And when I picked her up, it was mighty cool, and it was starting to rain. And this is before the Moreland Spaghetti Junction interchange. You go north on 85 and exit to the right and do a hairpin to merge back into 285 bridge over 85.
Okay.
As I did the merge, guess what? The old bridge was iced over.
Oh.
And I did 2 complete loops in the middle of 285. And when I came to a rest, I was pointing in the wrong direction. So thank goodness it wasn't completed. And in that time of the year and night, it wasn't much traffic.
Did the little lady break up with you after that?
No, but neither one of us could talk for about an hour.
That's. I mean, listen. If you have a scary experience like that, not just on 285, but it can rattle your bones, Smiling, rattle your bones. 285 turns 50. We'll come back with more of your tales. Lil Sanjay is going to join us with Would You Rather as well. And at 6 p.m., Russell McMurry, the commish of the DOT, will join us talking about 285's past and its future. 404-872-0750, 1-800-WSB Talk on Twitter and Instagram at Mark Arum. Airman for Erickson. This is Atlanta's Evening News on 95.5 WSB.
0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
9 minutes after 5 o'clock. This is Atlanta's Evening News, filling in for the conservative Viking, Eric Erickson. I'll be with you till 7 in the p.m. tonight. And then our Democratic debate coverage kicks off with Chris Chandler and Bill Crane. We will have the debate live here on WSB Radio. And, of course, post-debate recap and analysis tomorrow morning on Atlanta's Morning News with Scott Slade. Mark McKay in studio with me here as we are celebrating, in quotes, the 50th birthday of I-285. 50 years ago today, they cut the ribbon, smiling Mark McKay.
64 miles around the capital city.
That's right. At 2 million people a day, Deb Green, roll along I-285. Some amazing 285 stats. We'll talk about that. Russell McMurry, the commissioner from the DOT, will join us in exactly 1 hour. But I want to hear your best and worst tales of I-285 because it can be friend or foe.
It can.
It's a friend to me. So I live in Northwest Atlanta, and if I got to get to the airport, the downtown connector, 22 hours of the day, it's awful. But I can scoot over to Bolton Road, get on 285 South, get down to Camp Creek or Langford Parkway, boom, miss all that. So a lot of times 285 is my friend. Unfortunately, 285 can also be the foe.
Well, with the volume that we have now, especially across the northern suburbs, that Smyrna to Sandy Springs commute, and you restrict lanes with all the construction with the 400 285 project. A lot of folks, and I have folks who live, and a lot of growth that came out of the word perimeter in that area of Dunwoody.
Sure.
But that is gridlocked right now.
As for Dunwoody Road,
just trying to get onto the perimeter highway can be 45 minutes.
Luckily, you have a helicopter at your disposal. You don't have to sit in that, McKay. Lancaster joins us on the program. What's going on, Lancaster?
How you doing, Mark?
Love the name, my friend. I love that name.
That's me. Hey, I was
that used to be my favorite. That used to be my favorite chewing tobacco back in the day. That's Lancaster, right. Yeah.
That's right. Had a sweet flavor to it.
Exactly right.
Here, I've got 3 of them. The most memorable is the earliest one. That's going to be the time of Captain Herb's passing. Everyone rode around 285 with their headlights on.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, and I remember all the people writing on the back of their windows, "Rest in peace, Captain Herb." Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
What else you got?
That's memorable to me. I mean, you guys are just carrying his legacy on.
Correct.
He was a visionary. He knew what we were going to be getting into.
Exactly right.
The second one goes back. I remember I worked on the northwest side up off of Lawrenceville, Swanee, and I lived in Griffin at the time. 77-mile commute every day, back and forth.
Ooh.
Early morning, late evening. I worked a day and a half every day. 9/11, when they closed the airports, and I was on my way home. 77 miles, took me an hour and 15 minutes to get home.
Oh my goodness gracious!
I mean, they were less than 1% vehicles on the 285 run.
Unbelievable. Lancaster, always a pleasure, my friend. 404-872-0750 1-800 WSB Talk.
It's time now. For Would You Rather with Lil Sanjay.
He is the guru, the soothsayer, the truth seeker, the asker of unanswerable questions. He joins us every Tuesday and Thursday on the Mark Arum Show. He's Big Sanjay with Would You Rather on the 50th birthday of 285. Sanjay's going to ask us questions. We're going to answer them in studio. Please answer along in your car. Mark McKay is going to play as well, Sanjay. What's the first question, buddy?
All right, number 1. Would you rather lose just your sight or all of your other senses, but keep your sight?
I would rather lose my sight and keep all my other senses. Like the sense of touch, right? That's a sense.
I mean,
yes.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, lose my sight and keep all the others. Taste, touch, smell, hearing.
I could get rid of smell and taste, but not hearing. I'd go crazy.
Yeah, you would go crazy. All right, so you're losing your sight. Smiling.
Sights. I mean, I need...
You'd be useless in the helicopter.
Yeah, so.
Actually, there's a blind traffic reporter in Long Island, New York. He's friends with Chris Egan.
Okay.
And Tad, yeah. That's actually pretty cool. So you actually could still do it smiling, just not in the chopper. Chuck, sight or all your other senses?
I'll lose my sight.
Really? You'll never see your beautiful daughter's face again? Longoria.
I'll lose my sight.
You lose your sight?
Yeah.
Next question, Sanjay.
All right, would you rather give up fast food or give up the internet?
Oh, man, that is directed solely at me.
Yep. Well, Waffle House is included.
Nah, Waffle House is not fast food. Shut up. Look, you're getting a revolt on your hand here, Silky. No, Waffle House doesn't count. I'm going to give up fast food. It's probably healthier for me, so I'm going to give it up.
I don't eat fast food anyway, so it's fine.
Yeah, Smiling?
I've been off fast food since Labor Day.
Yeah.
Thanks to quick weight loss.
How much have you lost so far?
27 pounds.
You look fantastic, by the way.
Thank you.
You look fantastic.
Thank you.
Low T Chuck.
Does fast food include the speed of the animals I hunt?
No, because you hunt the slow ones. If you're lucky at all, you get the slow ones.
You
only shoot the sick.
Of course, I'm giving up fast food.
Yeah,
fast food. Yeah.
All right. What about enchiladas or internet?
Internet.
Really? Wow.
Nope.
Such a garbage food too. All right. Next question, Sanjay.
I'm going to tell my grandmother you said that.
On that same note, would you rather be starving, like how you felt after not eating for 24 hours,
Yom Kippur, yeah,
or painfully full all the time for the rest of your life?
Painfully full. Yeah. Painfully full.
Have you ever been painfully full? Yeah, I know you have.
Yeah, every weekend.
You know
Every
what I'm
Saturday.
talking about.
Every Saturday, yeah.
I'll starve.
You'll starve?
I was never a big fan of just feeling like, oh no, I'd rather.
But the starving feeling? That's
I'm
awful.
okay with that.
You're okay with
Goes
that?
away eventually.
Chuck?
Yeah, I'll go with the starving feeling.
All right.
No, I'm going to go full.
Yeah, Longoria. Boom, my man. All right.
I can't handle that.
Sanjay. Next
All right,
question.
next question. Would you rather never have a hangover again or never get a cold or the flu again?
Never get a cold or flu. I'm rarely hungover. I rarely drink. When I do, I drink water and I'm okay.
Yeah, I can kind of handle a hangover, but I don't like getting sick.
Yeah, getting sick stinks.
Especially around here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I mean, I think we're all at that age right now where we can. That was what we used to do. Now, I try to.
You just got a flu shot, too. Yeah.
I did, yes.
Yeah. Low T, never hungover or never have a cold?
I would have said the never a hangover, but since my daughter goes to daycare and is now a walking petri dish, I got to go cold.
Well, I would say you're the biggest drinker of the bananas, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But that.
But how often are you hungover? I wouldn't think that much, right?
Well, not much because he's used to it. He
I was
drinks
going to say, when you drink as much.
We can all afford good alcohol now.
Yeah.
None of that.
Exactly. No
Mr. Boston's vodka.
Yeah. Popov. Schlongoria.
I don't want to have a hangover. So
really,
yeah.
All right. Well, you never call in sick anyway. You're stoic, so that's a good one. Next question, Sanjay.
All right, this is the last one.
All
Would you rather invent something inconsequential, like Post-it notes, but be remembered for 1,000 years, or invent something that changes human history, like maybe penicillin, but not be remembered for it even for a year?
So Silky going deep on the last one. I'm going to take the high road, invent something significant, and not be remembered.
Post-it notes are significant.
Yeah, everyone uses them.
I understand. Well, in his example. So, yeah, I'm going to go penicillin and not be remembered.
I don't need the attention, so I'll invent something that everyone uses, because eventually they'll look it up on Wikipedia.
Exactly.
Oh, good point. Yeah, I'm with you on that, too, right? I let my work and myself.
Yeah, you don't need the notoriety, Smiling. Mm-hmm. Chuck, you want the notoriety.
Oh, yeah. I'll invent something like a chip clip.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm with Chuck.
That's Low T Chuck. He invented...
the chip clip. Yeah, whatever.
He invented the chip clip? Is that what you said?
The dumbest invention ever. It doesn't do anything.
That was
to
a
your
hell of a... Longoria invented cascajones. I love that guy.
There you go.
What are you doing, Longoria?
Same thing as Chuck.
Same thing as Chuck. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
I want to be known.
All right. We can see the ethical bunch of the group here.
Oh, yeah.
The ethical folks are in Studio A. The attention hogs are in Studios B and C. Sanjay, great job as always. Sanjay, by the way, folks, if you didn't know it, because you don't listen to the Mark Arum Show, he is the official accountant of the Mark Arum Show. You can find him on Facebook, Brass Tax Accounting. Have a good day, brother.
You bet. Take care.
All right, there he goes. Big Sanjay with Would You Rather. Back to 285 Talk with Mary. Mary, quite contrary. Welcome to the show.
Hey, how are you, Mark?
Excellent. What's going on?
Hey, being a Braves fan, do you remember Pascual Perez?
I do, and he could not get to Fulton County Stadium because he couldn't exit off of 285.
He was circling 285.
I can relate to that. I totally can relate to that.
Didn't Javier do the same thing?
I'm not sure, but he's remembered for that. Bouncing off Sanjay, like he's his notoriety. Rest in peace, by the way. We lost Pascual not too long ago, but
he'll him Perimeter Perez.
Perimeter Perez. He will always be remembered for not getting to the ballpark and getting stuck on 285. When I first moved to Atlanta, I get off of I-75 downtown at 14th Street. The first time I'm in Atlanta, I'm going the wrong way down Spring Street.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so I can get it. Like, I didn't know it was a one-way street, and all these cars are honking at me like, what the hell?
Downtown, Midtown Atlanta, nothing but one-way
Yeah,
streets.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I can relate to Pasquale. Rest in peace. 285's 50th birthday. Your tales of woe and happiness. Next, 404-872-0750. Arum for Erickson on the Evening News. 285 turned 50 today. Mark Arum and Mark McKay in studio for Eric Erickson, taking your calls about 285 tales of woe or happiness. I'm assuming most of them are woeful. Bob joins us next on the show. Hello, Bob.
Hey.
Hey, buddy.
I've got a quick story about a girl that I went to tech with who obviously never graduated because she had no sense of direction. And she was trying to give me directions to her house on Roswell Road. And I got kind of frustrated with her. I finally asked, I said, well, tell me, is it inside or outside the perimeter? And she said, well, it depends on which way you're coming. I was like, well, no, actually it doesn't.
Maybe, no, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to leave it there. Do you know what I think is funny? So, like, 285, and I love, whenever I drive around the country, and I'll see, like, I'm a traffic nerd, and it's like, take I-14 to Chicago. And I'm like, oh, Chicago's on the sign, And like, Houston, Texas, off of I-whatever. New York City, I-95. It's like, it's like, and then 285, it's like Greenville. It's like
Chattanooga.
Yeah, Greenville, Chattanooga, Birmingham. It's like, it's not really the same same panache. It's like, Chicago, that interstate takes you to Chicago. It's like, Greenville.
You think people still ask at the bar, are you ITP or OTP?
I don't know.
Is that a thing?
But I don't.
Ever? Yeah?
They will. Yeah.
I'm going to give you my solemn vow that I will never say ITP or OTP in a traffic report ever.
Okay.
My Sean Hannity solemn vow.
All right, Hannity.
I will never say ITP or OTP. Joe, can you hang on through the news?
Sure.
All right, remind me, Joe's first, Longoria, when we come back after news, weather, and traffic. Smiling's out. Thank you, Smiling. Oh, he's coming back. Look at this. He's coming back. He's going to do some social media stuff. He's on all the platforms, he says. 404-872-0750. Arum for Erickson on WSB. Welcome back to the show. 5:39, 21 in front of 6. Mark Arum with you till 7 p.m. Then we start our debate coverage, the Dem Debate here live on WSB Radio. Joined in studio by Mark McKay, who is obviously going to get star of the show, because I don't know if you know this or not, Swan. You're not getting paid for any of this.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah. No. You maybe get a comp
take
day.
advantage of all the wonderful food that comes in here.
Exactly.
Or did.
And you can thank Deb Green for that.
Yes.
50th birthday of I-285. Your best and worst remembrances of the Perimeter Highway. Russell McMurry, the commissioner of the DOT, is going to join us in half an hour to discuss 285's past, present, and future. Let's go back to Joe. We had to cut him off before the news. Joe, welcome back. How are you, sir?
Hey, Mark. How are you?
Excellent. What's your 285 memories? What do you have?
285. Well, actually, a couple of observations. I travel a lot, 285, which is always terrible. And I travel out of state, South Florida, a good bit. And they have a bunch of gridlock there, too, nothing like 285. But what they complain about, and this is the great thing about 285, what they complain about down there is highway impalements.
What? What's a highway impalement, Smiling?
Sounds like debris.
We don't have that.
Does that mean debris that flies up and hits vehicles, or?
That's exactly right.
Huh.
Good pick. Yeah. So we're not getting it. We're not getting impaled. We might have gun battles on Roswell Road, but we don't have highway impalement.
Yeah. That's interesting.
The second observation, and think on that. But the second observation is a question for you, baby driver, accurate or not?
It kind of made Atlanta police look like buffoons chasing the kid. Did you see the movie Baby Driver, Smiling?
No, I didn't.
Filmed here in Atlanta. I like the movie.
No.
Yeah, I like the movie.
They did a breakdown of the shots and if it actually lined up on a map, and it was pretty accurate. There was only like 2 things that were off.
Yeah, there's one that sticks out. The north side of 285 was way off. That he
But
went
all the in-city stuff was pretty close.
The in-city was pretty close. I talked about this morning on Channel 2 Action News. Imagine if 285 wasn't built. Atlanta would be a whole different city.
Oh, yeah.
Forget about all the trap. That would have limited our growth. It totally would have limited our growth, which might have been a good thing. Guys like me, Longoria, and Low T might not have moved down here.
Right.
But if there wasn't 285, you think of the traffic impact, Atlanta wouldn't have grown as quickly as it had without that perimeter. Because look at all the communities that popped up. You mentioned Sandy Springs and Dunwoody.
Everything's named perimeter.
Yeah, absolutely right. Absolutely right. Snowman, one of our favorite traffic troopers, joins us on the show. What's up, buddy?
Preach, brothers.
Welks,
Pleasure
man.
to speak to Mark and Mark.
I talk to you every morning. Smiling doesn't get to hear you as much.
Of course. Hey, real quick, I got to get with you on the side on some baseball cards you may like.
All right.
But
you got my number.
Yep. Back in my younger days, when I was a first responder, there was, you got to do medical training. So the instructor was talking about babies. And we will come across people having babies on 285 because birds and the bees, and that's what happens.
Exactly.
Well, of course, the question came up, what do you see on the radio? Well, the instructor, being a total sarcastic, was saying, catcher's mitt. Well, the loudmouth in the room goes, no, that'll never happen. You'll never find me trying to catch a baby. Less than 2 days later, 285 at Roswell, the young gun is sitting there. Oh, my gosh, we got a baby coming. We need an ambulance. And the dispatcher asked, how far along is she? All you heard was him scream, catcher's mitt.
It's here. And that baby was named Roswell Road. No, Roswell Road. Rick joins us on the Mark Arum Show. What's going on, Rick?
Hey, Mark. Doing good. How are you?
Excellent. What you got on your mind?
Yes, this was potentially a faux situation, but it turned out pretty good in the end. But this was in the early 80s, and my wife and I were headed over to, I believe, Cumberland to do some Christmas shopping. So it was about 7 or 8 p.m. on a Friday evening, and we had a Chevrolet Chevette.
Ooh, one of my favorites.
Small little Chevette. Oh, yeah. And we were in the, I think, the far right lane. And all of a sudden, the timing belt just breaks.
Oh.
So there's no power, no headlights,
nothing,
no steering, brakes, nothing. So you've got just a couple of seconds to make a decision, either to stall in the right lane and just sit there. And you have to remember, back then there was no such thing as GDOT Hero Squad or Champ Squad.
Sure, yeah.
So you're on your own, and so I look back over my left shoulder, and there's nothing in three or four lanes. So I just coast back over to the left shoulder. But that was the only place you could pull off was on the left. So fortunately, there was nothing, and we were able to make it all the way back across 285 and stall in the shoulder there.
Rick, survived 285. We need T-shirts. I survived 285. Happy birthday, Perimeter Highway. Coming back with more of your calls, Mark McKay and Mark Arum in studio, in for Eric Erickson on 95.5 WSP, Atlanta's News and Talk. Mark McKay, Mark Arum in studio, in for Eric Erickson, with you till 7, discussing the 50th birthday of I-285 and your remembrances, good and bad, of the Perimeter Highway. Martha joins us on the program. Hello, Martha.
Hello.
What's going on? How can I help you?
Not a lot, but thanks for all you do. I wanted to tell you my story of 285 in the fall of 1969 when it first opened. It took me a couple of days to get up the nerve to drive on it. First of all, I was in my early 20s, and I hadn't been driving all that long. And when I did get on it, I went about 14 miles every morning and frequently saw fewer than 6 cars.
Wow.
2 lanes at that time, is that right? Circling the city?
Yeah, wow. 2 lanes in each direction. And then it went to 4 lanes, and then in the Olympics around 96, they added to 5 lanes in most areas.
Right.
That would have been something. I'm not going to guess your age, Martha, but I would imagine you've been around Atlanta a long time. The transformation you've seen, not just talking about 285, but the city as a whole. Mark talking about how, Buckhead was farmland at one point, and we used to fly in the chopper. We wouldn't go north of Alpharetta ever. Right. North of Roswell, rarely. And just the growth and the explosion is crazy.
It is totally a different world. I could have never dreamed when I moved here in 1965 that I'd still be here, or that it would be the really big city that it is now.
Well, we're glad you stayed, Martha, and thank you for listening.
Well, thank you, and thank you for all you do again.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Drake's in Woodstock. Drake, welcome to the show.
Hey, Mark, how's it going out there?
What up, brother?
Man, going back, 1966. 285 had been graded, but it was not paved yet. And me and a couple of friends, after school, we'd go out there, ride our bikes up and down 285. And we didn't know it was called 285.
Wow.
Yeah. And the only other thing out there, this was out in Tucker.
Yeah.
The Vista Road was like a little two-lane country road.
Mm-hmm.
Your WSB radio tower was the only thing out there.
That's right.
Scott Slade mentioned that this morning.
The big old. So what I want to do is, Smilin', let's do this winter over Christmas break. Mm-hmm. I want you and I and Doug to get together. Doug, you listening?
Sir.
All right. So this winter we're going to get together for a long weekend. And we're going to write a book about I-285, not only with all our stories and everything, but I want on every exit 4 dining options that we recommend.
We can easily do that.
Yeah, so like 285 at Paces Ferry. What are 4 dining options there? And 285 at La Vista Road. What are 4? That way, so it's the driver and eater's guide to the Perimeter Highway. You guys down for that?
That'd be tough on Clark Howell.
Yeah, there might not be. Hot dogs stay there once in a while. George is in Decatur. George, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for taking my call.
What's up, buddy?
Hey, listen, back in the early 60s, when they were just making I-285.
George, they're playing me off. Can you hang on?
I got you.
All right. I gotta stick close to the Erickson clock, Smiling. Can't go long. Jay Black's yelling, 40, 4-0. When we come back, Russell McMurry, commissioner of the DOT, will join us to talk about 285, past, present, and future. Arum in for Erickson on WSB, on Twitter and Instagram, at Mark Arum, MarkArum. Back after this. Welcome to the show and a good Tuesday Eve to you. Mark Arum here. You there. 6:08, 8 minutes after 6 o'clock. I'm with you till 7, but we'd have some breaking news maybe at 6:30, Longoria. Nancy Pelosi is scheduled to hold a press conference. We're not exactly sure what she's going to be talking about, but it seems big enough that we're going to carry it live. So we might have an abbreviated second half hour of the show. Then the Democratic debate tonight at 7. Chris Chandler will anchor our coverage. But joining me live in studio, aside from the normal bananas like Deb Green, Longoria, and Low T, is Smiling Mark McKay.
Honorary banana.
Airborne traffic reporter for Atlanta's Morning News with Scott Slade as we celebrate the 50th anniversary. No, the 50th birthday. I'm going to call it a birthday, not an anniversary of I-285. It opened on this date back in 1969. Sources tell me the man that first put the shovel into the ground to open the construction back in 58 was a young lass named Russell McMurry. He joins us now live on the Mark Arum Show, the commissioner of the Department of Transportation in Georgia. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Mark, but I assure you I wasn't thinking about transportation in 1969.
Amen. So it's what a weird ride it's been, 50 years for 285. Let's talk about the past, the present, and the future of the Perimeter Highway.
Absolutely. It's hard to imagine what Metro Atlanta would be without 285. So 50 years ago, the population of Atlanta was a little under 2 million people. Today, Metro Atlanta is pushing 6 million people. They're going to go to 8.6 million by the year of 2050, we're told. So can you imagine without 285 that all the traffic would have to come in and out of the city each and every day? It's just unmanageable. I think triple team traffic would have more than a handful each day trying to deal with that kind of traffic.
I think, and I said this earlier in the show, forget about the traffic implications. Without 285, Atlanta doesn't become the international city it's become because we had so much growth around the perimeter. It really, blossomed and added another layer to Metro Atlanta. And I think, if 285 wasn't built, we don't have the Atlanta we have today.
I agree. And just thinking about when it was built, it was pretty much raw land and just was a really rural area. And it was 20 years later in 1989 when it went from 2 lanes in each direction to 4 lanes in each direction. And then the growth continued, talking about international city. The Olympics of 96 certainly brought world focus to the city. Mm-hmm. And at that point, it was widened to 5 lanes, which is basically shoehorned in everywhere we could fit a lane back in 96 to get ready for the Olympics. So you can see 20 years before you got additional lanes, and then just a short 7 years later to get to what we know it as today. And obviously a lot more work since 96 in and around the perimeter as well.
Mark Arum and Mark McKay talking to Georgia Department of Transportation Commissioner Russell McMurry on the 50th birthday of I-285.
Commissioner McMurray, what about the future of this highway? It's called Atlanta's bypass, but for so many, it's a commute that they deal with sometimes begrudgingly morning and afternoon. What does the future look like for the perimeter highway, sir?
Well, thanks, Smile. And obviously the future is we have to be ready for this continued population growth. And our vision for the future is building the express lanes in and around the 285 from I-20 on the west side all the way to I-20 on the east side, and making connections to the express lanes up on I-75 in Cobb and Cherokee County. And we're getting underway with adding express lanes up 400 and also tying into the existing express lanes on 85. So the future is a little different than continuing to build new lanes, because we know that we can't just continue to build new lanes and try to solve this traffic issue that you guys see every day from the Skycopter. And so we have to approach it differently, and we're building on the success that we've had up in Cobb and Cherokee counties with those express lanes.
The amazing success of the Northwest Express lanes. Russell McMurray, Commissioner of the DOT, joins us here on 95.5 WSB. There's just no land to expand 285, to widen it, right? I mean, there's just no way to widen that perimeter highway.
That's right, Mark. As you look around, as you drive under overpasses and interchanges today, you can see there's just nowhere to expand. And so as we've done on the express lanes and up in the Cobb and Cherokee, we build up sometimes, and sometimes it's under overpasses and interchanges to minimize the additional right-of-way. Instead of expanding wider, you just try to go vertical where you can to save that precious right-of-way and not to impact the people, the business and residents all along 285. As when it was built, it was rural, but now it's been filled in as we've continued to grow here in Metro Atlanta.
I think I heard Scott Sully this morning say the construction cost back in '69 was $80 million for the entire 285 circle around the city. Obviously, that's 1969 dollars. We're in 2019. It's going to be a costly project going forward and a lengthy project, right? I mean, this is going to take a while to get the toll lanes done on the perimeter.
Absolutely. So it took about 10 or 11 years to build 285 originally. And again, there was no traffic to deal with. You were just building a new lane. So we have quite a challenge in front of us. It's going to take literally, 6 to 8 years to work through the process of beginning the process of the design and ultimately constructing express lanes in and around 285 and up 400. So the good news is we're on the journey, and we're moving forward with that process now, but it will take time. Obviously, we try to do it so to have the least disruption to traffic as possible, and I think you saw a pretty good example of that as we built the Northwest Corridor on 75 and Cobb and Cherokee, and obviously working on a very busy interchange now at 285 and 400 in the mix of everything.
Talking to Georgia DOT Commissioner Russell McMurray on the Mark Arum Show, the 50th birthday of I-285. We've been taking calls all show, Commish, about crazy moments on 285. Obviously, Pascual Perez not being able to get to Fulton County Stadium, babies being born, Snowmageddon. Anything stick out as far as memories for you about I-285?
Well, I think the recent money graph will certainly got national attention. That's a pretty nifty thing when you can get paid for driving on 285. I don't think that's what anybody had in mind, and certainly didn't endorse people taking their lives at their own risk to grab that money. But, yeah, Pascual Perez was a great story. I think any Braves fan remembers that, and ultimately ended up with a jacket with I-285 on the back. But Snowmageddon was a tough thing, and you're talking about there was pregnancies going on and labor, and that was certainly not a great day to remember or a couple of days there. But 2 million people a day use 285, and to give some perspective to that, there's 14 states that have less than 2 million people in them.
Shout out Montana, Chuck.
Right. I'm not naming names, but if you think about that, that's just on one of our roadways. And so we forget often about how big of a world-class city Atlanta is. And when you're moving 2 million people on one roadway, or just for instance, at 285, 400, there's almost 450,000 vehicles that go through that one intersection a day. It gives perspective about what a challenge we have and why we're reviving and growing city as well.
And the truck traffic as well. That says a lot about when we fly and we see all the truck traffic on there. And, if you've done this for a little while, you know where the economy is. And a lot of commerce comes through and around Atlanta because of 285. Russell.
Mark, you're right. I mean, the largest freight traffic or the amount of tractor trailers is right above 285 at 75, right there in that Windy Hill area. For all the tractor trailers coming around the west side of 285 from the Cobb County side, and then where they merge together at I-75 there, that is over 20,000 tractor trailers a day just in that one location, which is astounding. And that's really part of what 285 was built for, is to get the truck traffic out of downtown. Can you imagine that amount of tractor trailers through the downtown connector?
I would never be able to get to the Varsity on time. It just wouldn't happen. I'd be late for my slaw dog. Russell, real quick, if you're traffic nerds like Mark McKay and I, there's actually at Perimeter Mall a 285 exhibit going on right now for a couple days. Tell us about that real quick.
Absolutely. It's just a little bit of sort of a pop-up display that has a lot of the history and the photos of 285 being built and in its early days, and a little bit of the widening back in the late 80s when Spaghetti Junction was built, for instance. And I remember that vividly, coming in and out of the city, of seeing that great work back then. And what's neat to look at those displays over at Perimeter Mall, which is through the 19th, is just seeing how few cars are in those pictures. And some of them, there's no cars at all when it's open. I mean, it was pretty sparse. It's just hard to imagine 50 years ago what traffic was like and what we contend with today.
Commissioner, always a pleasure. Thanks for your time. Pray for a mild winter. I don't want any more ice storms on the freeways this winter, buddy.
That sounds great to us, too.
All right, there he is. Russell McMurry, Commissioner of the Georgia Department of Transportation, joining us on the Mark Arum Show on this 50th birthday. We didn't get a birthday cake, Deb Green. What happened? What's going on?
I'm sorry. I was busy last night.
That's right. You couldn't bake last night.
Yeah, my boss had me drinking.
Yeah, exactly right. All right, back to the phones with your 285 tales. George is in Decatur. George, what do you have?
Hey, thanks for taking my call. I appreciate it. I guess it's called the M&M show now. Mark.
That's right, exactly. Peanut M&Ms.
Yeah. Hey, listen. Back in the early '60s, when I was in high school, we used to go out by Greenbrier Mall while they were building the mall on 285 at Camp Creek to Washington Road, and we would take all our hot cars out there on Friday and Saturday night and have races. And we were all going southbound. Of course, there were really no exits, so you had to turn around in 285 and come back northbound. But we didn't have to worry about anything. The police didn't patrol out there back then. So it was a hot Friday or Saturday night on 285 back in the 60s.
Now a hot Friday or Saturday night is construction. You might get caught
exactly
in,
right. And that's the thing. I mean, because it's 50 years old, you got to make improvements. You got to continually make improvements to make sure the pavement is good. And I think that the DOT's done a good job of keeping 285 in tip-top shape. Oh, dagnabbit, I forgot. I wanted to ask Russell a favor.
What's that?
The north side traffic light at Belmead Road, that's a state route. They put up a flashing yellow to turn left onto Belmead off of North Side, and it worked for like 3 months. Now the flashing yellow, they don't use it. It's always red.
I don't think he gets any personal requests.
Dagnabbit. I had my one shot to get that fixed. We're going to come right back. Mark Arum and Mark McKay, 50th birthday of 285 continues on WSB. All right, we're waiting a press conference from Nancy Pelosi. We'll bring it here live. Might be big breaking news, and then debate coverage continues at 7. Let's get some 285 calls. Jason and Marietta. First off, Jason, are you a fan of the Eagles?
Like the Emory Eagles or the band?
The band, the Eagles.
I mean, yeah. Yeah, why not?
All right, do you want to go to see the Eagles concert?
Absolutely.
All right, Deb Green, what does he want?
Eagles at State Farm Arena in February, playing Hotel California in full with an orchestra.
All right, so hang on the line because we got to go to a break. Chuck's going to get some info from you, but we're going to give you some Eagles tickets. I still have some Hawks tickets to give away as well. We'll see what the Speaker of the House does to the rest of my show. Smiling, you're relieved. You can get out of here, buddy.
Talk to you bright and early in the morning.
Go, you know what? Dinner on me. We can't pay you, but dinner on me.
Ooh, what are you getting us?
Well, Smile. I mean, look how skinny he looks now. It's unbelievable.
I'm here till 1, though.
Very nice.
Yeah, Longoria's till 1. That's right. I'll bring you in some enchiladas, my friend. News, weather, and traffic, and a breaking press conference from the Speaker of the House. You'll hear it live here on the Mark Arum Show. We'll be back after this. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Hey, Hi, this is Rosie Perez, and you're listening to the Mark Arum Show.
Welcome back to the program. It is 6:40. I spilled Coke. Dagnabbit. Mark Arum, Deb Green, Longoria, Low T with you till 7. Then Chris Chandler, Jamie Dupree, Bill Crane. We'll do a little Democratic pre-debate coverage at 7. Then 8 o'clock, we'll bring the debate live. We are awaiting this Nancy Pelosi press conference. I don't know what she's going to say, but apparently it's something big. So when that happens, we'll pop into it, Longoria. You know how to pop into that, right? We'll pop into that live. Talking about the 50th birthday of 285. Roger joins us in Flowery Branch. Roger, welcome to the show, my friend.
Yes.
Hey, Raj, welcome to the show, buddy.
Has anybody mentioned when the bridge at Spaghetti Junction fell?
The bridge at Spaghetti Junction fell. When did that happen?
While it was under construction.
Oh, no, I did not know about that. Tell me about it.
Well, it happened at night. Several months later, I heard an executive of the construction company talking about it at a Society of Professional Engineers meeting. And he wasn't owning up to any sort of cause they didn't know, supposedly. But it happened at night, the night of their company Christmas party, and nobody was on site.
Oh, my goodness. Did anyone get hurt?
No, no one was on site. The local police got a phone call from somebody in the neighborhood saying, I don't know what it was, but it sounded big. Those bridges are constructed with a hollow concrete beam underneath.
Okay.
And most likely what happened is the rainstorm that night leaked water into the form.
Kind of like a stucco house.
Well, kind of like, the scaffolding underneath was designed to support the weight of the concrete and the reinforcing rods as it cured. But if the form just filled up with rainwater all in one spot, I'm going to investigate that, Roger. I had no idea. I thought I was pretty well versed in the history of Atlanta traffic. I did not know about that. David's in Conyers. David, welcome to the show.
Hey, how you doing, Mark?
What's going on, buddy?
Hey, I tuned in kind of late, and I'm actually stuck in traffic out here on 285. Did anybody mention the story about the old Braves player that was lost and was going in circles?
Yeah.
On 285 back in the
Probably the most famous story about 285 is that Pascual Perez story, who was trying to get to Fulton County Stadium for his start and just kept going round and round we go on 285 and never got there. And apparently the Braves made him a jacket. Instead of his jersey number, it had I-285 on the back. I can relate to that. Well, again, when I first moved to Atlanta, I got off the interstate, and I went the wrong way down Spring Street. I went north in the southbound lanes, and I didn't know what was going on. And I was driving a big U-Haul, too. It wasn't like I was in a little car. I was in a big U, and people were honking at me like, damn, Yankee. They still do that, though, to this day. Bruce is in Smyrna. Bruce, welcome to the Mark Arum Show.
Hey, how are you doing, Mark?
What's going on, sir?
Well, let's see. My first experience with I-285 was about 1962. That's when I-285 only ran from I-85 on around the north side over to Highway 41.
Well, I don't even think it was completed at that point, right? Because it said it opened.
That's all that was existed, at that time. And I was a runner in high school, and our coach got us on a long-distance training program from a coach from New Zealand that he promoted running 100 miles a week. So I went to Northside High School, and...
Real quick, Bruce, we got to run, buddy.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Bruce. We do have to run. We're waiting for Nancy Pelosi's press conference, the Democratic debate. A lot going on in the Mark Arum Show. Back after this. Final segment of the Mark Arum Show at 6:52, and then I'm going to make way for Chris Chandler, Jamie Dupree, Bill Crane for some pre-debate coverage. 285's birthday continues. The celebration with Roger in Flowery Branch. Hey, Raj.
I was talking earlier about the bridge collapse.
I know, Raj. Hang on. Chuck's going to get your info. I got to get other calls on, buddy. Chef William. Chef, what's going on?
Hey, buddy. How's it going?
Excellent. How are you doing?
Stuck in traffic like normal. I spend 60 miles a day on 285.
Oh, bless your heart, my friend. Bless your heart.
My first experience was with 285. It was on the south side. I wrecked my car and hydroplaned the entire ramp coming from 285 around 85 to Riverdale Road.
That is not blessed at
I was
all.
doing about 90 miles an hour to Mitsubishi, and that hydroplane slammed into the wall flipped upside down and just rolled their wall all the way around.
Hey, Chef, are you a basketball fan by any chance?
I am.
All right, hang on the line. We're going to give you some Primo Hawks tickets. What did he win?
Yeah, 4 tickets to go check out the Hawks home opener Saturday, October 26th against the Orlando Magic.
Wait, that's the home opener tickets?
Home opener.
Dag nabbit. I would have taken them.
As long as it's not the Spurs tickets, I don't care.
You're not getting any Spurs tickets. Justin's pretty happy about something. Chuck, tell Roger I love him on line 1 and give Chef William tickets on line 2. I said to tell Roger I love him, and Chuck hung up on him. Chef William did win Hawks tickets, though. Don't hang up on him. Charlie's up next to the Mark Arum Show. Hey, Charlie.
Hey, back in the mid-'70s, about 1973, 74, when I was 15 years old, I worked for DeKalb County Sanitation. This was back before they had curb service.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my best memories of 285 is riding on the back of them garbage trucks, hanging onto a rail, doing 60 to 70 miles an hour around 285. On the back of them garbage trucks.
Did you enjoy being a garbage man?
Oh, yeah. The thing was, our motto was we made $13 an hour and all you could eat.
Oh, dag nabbit. I don't know how it is down here, but up in New York, garbage men made $100,000 a year when I was a kid.
I had a friend who was a garbage man. He loved it.
Yeah.
He thought it was amazing.
I think if you dig the gig, you dig it. Like my garbage men seem to enjoy it. Every time I see him, I'm walking the dogs like, hey, what's going on? Yeah, all you can eat for free, Longoria. Lance is in Stockbridge, Georgia. Lance, welcome to the Mark Arum Show.
Yeah, it was an eastbound twin-engine McDonnell Douglas prop plane, and he was trying to make it to the east runway, and he tried to land on the eastbound 285, and he didn't make it. He clipped a car and went up the embankment and landed right on top of Moreland Avenue.
Ooh, when was this?
I would estimate it was about 1970.
Wow. All right, so that's before my time, yeah.
Yeah, my dad worked for General Motors, and he was approaching the bridge there, 285. He said it was lit up like a Christmas tree, but the end story is the fuselage sat for almost, I know, a couple of years across from the Rio Vista on Moreland Avenue. He just sat there. Just hanging out. Like a
landmark. All right, appreciate it, Lance. Some more 285 facts, Deb Green. You heard Russell McMurry. This blows my mind. 2 million people a day drive on 285.
I can definitely see that. Yeah.
I mean, that's the one thing. My schedule is really wacky, but I never have to get on 285 and deal with traffic. When I'm on 285, it's on the weekend or, off hours, so that's crazy. It opened in 1969, 50 years ago. It was 2 lanes in each direction, 64 miles around the city. Construction began back in 58. So they banged out a whole thing in 11 years, which isn't too bad. In 1989, it widened to 4 lanes in each direction. In 96, 5 lanes in each direction for most of the route. And the Georgia Department of Transportation recognized that more needed to be done for regional mobility instead of just adding lanes. That is why they're going to do those toll lanes. And there's no more room. I mean, in some areas there's room for more lanes on 285.
Not much.
On the north side perimeter?
Not at all.
There's just no more room, Longoria. No more room at the end.
Why don't you double stack?
I think that's what they're trying to do, right? Like go up.
Like in Austin. Austin has a double stack. Yeah, just throwing that out there.
I'm trying to think of.
I'm hungry now.
Was it
double stack?
Is it the Wendy's double stack?
Maybe that's what I'm thinking.
I'm so hungry right now. This Erickson shift is just killing my dietary habits, which have already been great. Longoria, let's do star of the show while we got it. While we got a chance.
And now, are you guys ready for the Mark Arum star of the show?
Luis Severino, starting pitcher for the New York. No, I'm just kidding. Mark McKay is going to get star of the show because he sat in here for most of the show and he's getting nothing for it. Nothing, honey. We're still waiting for Nancy Pelosi's alleged press conference, but until then, Chris Chandler is going to take over this microphone at 7, do Democratic debate coverage, pre-debate coverage with Bill Crane and Jamie Dupree. And then after the debate, Longoria and Alan Sanders here till 1 in the morning. That's fantastic. That's fine. I'm going to wake up and listen to you guys doing post-debate coverage. Full analysis tomorrow morning on Atlanta's Morning News with Scott Slade. We'll continue the conversation on Twitter and Instagram at Mark Arum, Facebook Mark Arum WSB. Have a good night, everybody. Don't go to sleep.